Hello, welcome to ACAN Grade 1 Reading Practice. Today I'm going to be going through one of the sample practice readings with you. I'll go through the reading itself, the questions, I'll explain some vocabulary, and so on. In part 1, I'm going to read through the 3 questions, and then I'll read through the reading as is. I'll read it 2 times. The first time I'll read it the normal speed. The second time I'll read it a little bit slower, so maybe you can understand it better the second time around. All right, so this is part 1. Questions. Number 35. According to Charles Darwin, emotions evolved separately across different languages and cultures and resulted in different ways of sharing experiences. Originated simultaneously with language as an alternative to the body's purely physical reactions in various situations, are universal reactions involving physical responses that occur automatically when people encounter specific stimuli, are learned responses that enable humans to communicate mental states, behaviors, and experiences to others. Number 36. The theory of constructed emotion holds that although the vast majority of emotional concepts are pre-wired in the brain, a small minority can be restructured to some degree by memories. Mental models built up in the brain can be utilized to interpret sensory information and generate emotional responses to experiences. The variation in brain anatomy among individuals accounts for the differences in their emotional reactions to the situations they encounter. Since only one emotion tends to result from one physical reaction, it is possible to predict with certainty how the brain will react to stimuli. Number 37. What is implied by the reference to Schadenfreude in the 3rd paragraph? There is a strong correlation between a person's ability to relate to the emotions of others and that person's ability to acquire new skills. The frequency with which words representing emotional concepts are used in a language has little influence on other aspects of culture. Language affects the way people's brains process experiences by helping them to moderate or suppress their emotional reactions. Exposure to new concepts can aid people in identifying unfamiliar feelings, allowing them to experience a broader range of emotions. Very difficult questions. So now, like I said, I will read the passage twice. This time I will read it at the normal speed. The second time I'll read it a little slower. While I'm reading the passage, please try to think about the questions, think about the answers, so you can get an idea. All right, language and emotions. In his 1872 book, The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals, Charles Darwin, the father of evolution, argued that emotions are behavioral and physiological reactions that help humans and animals survive and evolve. Darwin believed emotions are unconditioned responses to external stimuli, and theorized that all humans across languages and cultures demonstrate the same specific, involuntary facial expressions and behaviors for basic emotions. Most modern perspectives are based on Darwin's belief that emotions are hardwired, and many scientists believe the language used to describe emotions developed as a means to communicate experiences and innate mental states. More recently, however, a few researchers have argued that emotions are actually constructed through language, experience, and culture. The theory of constructed emotion, proposed by neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett of Northeastern University in the United States, holds that emotions are formulated by the brain rather than existing from birth. Barrett notes a lack of solid scientific evidence supporting Darwin's view, and points out that, anatomically, the brain is not structured to automatically produce a certain emotion in response to a given stimuli. Rather, multiple networks within the brain collaborate to combine visual, auditory, and other types of sensory data with memories and learn cultural concepts in order to build mental simulations of the world. This process is used to assign meaning, including emotional significance, to new perceptions received by the brain. Barrett offers the example of the brain's response prior to an exam, when one individual may associate increased heart rate and sweaty palms with the feeling of anxiety based on past experience, while someone else might recognize that feeling as determination. If emotions were hardwired at birth, she says, everyone would associate the same emotion with the same situation. Barrett acknowledges that people are pre-wired with basic notions of pleasure and distress. However, she believes concepts of emotions, like anxiety and determination, are learned. The way people label emotions, as well as the breadth of emotions they experience, varies depending on their experiences and culture, and the situations they encounter. For Barrett, it is clear that language in particular has a significant influence on how people experience and frame their emotions. Language is considered the foundation that facilitates the acquisition and implementation of concept knowledge. Every language has developed its own concepts to label feelings that result from the interplay of behaviors, physiological processes, bodily sensations, and context. The word Schadenfreude, for example, was borrowed from German, because English lacked a specific word for the feeling of happiness that arises from another person's troubles. According to Barrett, since the term became part of the English language, more English speakers have been experiencing Schadenfreude. When it comes to perceiving emotions, she says, if you know a word, if you hear the word often, then it becomes much more automatic, just like driving a car. It gets triggered more easily and you can feel it more easily. This can also happen when people move to a different country and adopt a new language and culture. They begin to internalize concepts of emotions that are prevalent in their new environment. All right, now I'm going to read it a little slower. Language and emotions. In his 1872 book, The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals, Charles Darwin, the father of evolution, argued that emotions are behavioral and physiological reactions that help humans and animals survive and evolve. Darwin believed emotions are unconditioned responses to external stimuli, and theorized that all humans across languages and cultures demonstrate the same specific, involuntary facial expressions and behaviors for basic emotions. Most modern perspectives are based on Darwin's belief that emotions are hardwired, and many scientists believe the language used to describe emotions developed as a means to communicate experiences and innate mental states. More recently, however, a few researchers have argued that emotions are actually constructed through language, experience, and culture. The theory of constructed emotion, proposed by neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett of Northeastern University in the United States, holds that emotions are formulated by the brain, rather than existing from birth. Barrett notes a lack of solid scientific evidence supporting Darwin's view, and points out that, anatomically, the brain is not structured to automatically produce a certain emotion in response to a given stimuli. Rather, multiple networks within the brain collaborate to combine visual, auditory, and other types of sensory data with memories and learn cultural concepts in order to build mental simulations of the world. This process is used to assign meaning, including emotional significance, to new perceptions received by the brain. Barrett offers the example of the brain's response prior to an exam, when one individual may associate increased heart rate and sweaty palms with the feeling of anxiety based on past experience, while someone else might recognize that feeling as determination. If emotions were hardwired at birth, she says, everyone would associate the same emotion with the same situation. Barrett acknowledges that people are pre-wired with basic notions of pleasure and distress. However, She believes concepts of emotions like anxiety and determination are learned. The way people label emotions, as well as the breadth of emotions they experience, varies depending on their experiences and culture, and the situations they encounter. For Barrett, it is clear that language in particular has a significant influence on how people experience and frame their emotions. Language is considered the foundation that facilitates the acquisition and implementation of concept knowledge. Every language has developed its own concepts to label feelings that result from the interplay of behaviors, physiological processes, bodily sensations, and context. The word Schadenfreude, for example, was borrowed from German because English lacked a specific word for the feeling of happiness that arises from another person's troubles. According to Barrett, since the term became part of the English language, more English speakers have been experiencing Schadenfreude. When it comes to perceiving emotions, she says, if you know a word, if you hear a word often, then it becomes much more automatic, just like driving a car. It gets triggered more easily, and you can feel it more easily. This can also happen when people move to a different country and adopt a new language and culture. They begin to internalize concepts of emotions that are prevalent in their new environment. I hope that you started to think about the answers to the questions. That's it for part 1. I'll see you very soon for part 2. Bye.